Hey, Amanda, I can't hear you. Let's see. Hmm. Oh, okay. I hear you now.
Feel like it might be a problem with this plugin that I'm using, but I'm just going to scrap it for now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Just a couple more questions to really zero in on your nonprofit, because I definitely want to talk about that a lot. Okay. So today, girls in America do have the opportunity to do and be anything they want, but in other countries, girls still don't have the opportunity to vote, drive, or even get an education. And that's why Dream Soar continues on even after Shasta's mission has been completed. So now that the flight around the world is complete, how are you continuing to work to accomplish your mission? And do you have something planned for the future?
That's a really good question. Now that I've gotten back, we have a really good perspective. Dream Store has a really good perspective on what needs to happen to really empower the next generation. So one of the first steps that we're doing is we are going to be giving out scholarships to young girls and boys. And it doesn't matter what part of the world they're from, these scholarships are geared to empower kids in their own communities to pursue STEM and aviation careers. So that's kind of our big focus right now. We're kind of dialing in and trying to figure out what our next steps will be to really make another second impact around the world with inspiring young girls into aviation.
So cool. I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about what your plans are to sort of measure your success in that area. In the private sector, of course, it's pretty simple to measure success, right? It's profits show how successful you've been. But as a nonprofit, what impacts or outcomes is Dream Soar looking to create?
Our biggest objective really is to inspire as many kids. I mean, there's a big gender gap in aviation, as well as finding talent in aviation to kind of sustain the aviation and business industry. So we at Dream Tour, we recognize this. We want to be proactive. We want to engage with the youth and try to help empower them to pursue these really exciting careers that usually it's either kids just don't know much about, or aviation, they just haven't had that exposure to it to really determine if aviation is something that they want to pursue. So that's kind of our objective, what we're trying to dial in and trying to determine, which direction our organization is going to go into. But as I mentioned, finding scholarship opportunities, finances, it is one of the factors that lead the youth not to pursue aviation. And with that, Dream Store will be awarding these scholarships to kids just so that they can go out into their communities and learn as much as they possibly can about these careers and kind of get them started down that path.
Super. So I watched the video of you talking to these kids in the different, places around the world, and I have to say I got a little choked up, and I know that a couple of us, other folks that I've shown it to got emotional as well. Of course, the metrics are great, but as people, we love the story and the ability to see even one individual's life transform. Are there any stories you'd like to tell about the people you met while flying around the world?
The one story that comes to mind, in Greece, I went out to an orphanage, and it was a tough crowd because a lot of these kids at this orphanage, they were refugees, and they recently came from Africa, from all parts of the world. And as I'm connecting with these kids, I noticed that there was one girl kind of in the background, and she was very emotional. And it turns out that she was a refugee from Afghanistan who was separated from her family. And, at this orphanage, nobody knew how to speak Farsi. So no one really explained to her what was going on. And I thought, with these outreach events, I had an idea of what they would be like, but I never thought it could really be life-changing to some of these kids. And sure enough, I went to her, I kind of explained what was going on, why she wasn't with her mom, and open her eyes to really take advantage of this orphanage, which had books for her to read, had friends that she could make. So that was one really emotional, very touching moment with these outreach events. And then the second situation that comes to mind was for me going out to an orphanage again in India. And there were about 20 girls that were staying basically in one big room. And these kids were just so shocked to see that women are flying, to even learn a little bit more about aviation. And I recall one of the girls asking me, like, here you are flying around the world. Why are you here? Why are you spending your time with us? You could be going out and traveling around India. And I said, well, this is part of why I'm flying around the world, is to come visit young girls like you, to kind of share aviation with, and along with STEM careers. And that was very powerful and impactful. So, I mean, I have so many stories like this about young girls that I've met around the world, but I've just learned so much. I've learned a lot about what inspires these kids, and at Dream Soar, we're just our next chapter is focusing on how we can really uh, empower these kids that I've had the chance of meeting around the world.
It's fantastic. Wow. Thank you so much for doing that. And if anybody wants to get involved with Dream Soar, where would you direct people and what can they do?
So if you want to get involved, learn more, get in touch with our team, you can visit dreamsoar.org. We are a nonprofit organization, and you can read all about it on the website. You can follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Uh, just follow our journey. But most importantly, to make a greater impact, we do have a fund for scholarships that we're still fundraising for. So go out there, visit dreamsoar.org, and get involved. Empower a young girl or boy around the world to pursue and elevate their career in aviation.
Shasta, thank you so much. This was a wonderful conversation, and you are an incredible human being. I am so thrilled that we connected, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for you and for Dream Soar.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Enjoy your day.
You too.
Thanks.